Hi guys, in today's screencast we will create a photo album web application which would allow us to upload our photos and view them online. So let's get started. We're going to use we're going to use Phoenix to build our application. So the first command we need to run is mix Phoenix new. Name of the application is photo album, and we'll let it install the dependencies. And while it's doing that, let's get into the directory and open our editor. And in here, let's list down our requirements, right? So what we want is we want this application to allow us to upload images and view images and show, list all the images and what else, edit, delete them, and tag them, and use S3 for storage, and what else, allow us to group them and maybe share them, right? So anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll first get this functionality working, and then we'll look at the other features we may need. So now we have our application. Now this Phoenix application by default uses a PostgreSQL database. So we need to create that. And let's see. So the first thing we need is we want the user to be able to upload an image, right? So we need a model. A model which allows us to store these images. So I'm gonna call it photo, and it's gonna have a file name. What else? I think file name is enough, right? It's gonna have a file name and it's gonna have a path, both of which are going to be strings. So, uh, initially what I'm thinking is we will store all the files in a non-public directory on our computer. So maybe a folder called data. So this is where we'll put our uploaded files. Okay. So I'm going to create another folder there called photos. Okay. So that's where we're going to put all our images. Now we need a photo model. To get that, we can run mix Phoenix generate HTML photos file name, which is going to be a string, and path, which is going to be a string. So now this command, what it does is it creates a boilerplate code which allows us to create photos, list photos, edit them, and delete them. And it's also going to create a migration file. So let's look at what it does in a minute. So it's compiling everything now, and all right. So once this is done, we should have controllers, views. All right. Let's look at them one by one. So we have a photo controller. We have the photo views. We have an index view which shows all the photos, edit, new views, and a show view, right? Then we have, so these are actually templates. So if you're coming from Rails, the Rails views are called templates in Phoenix. So these are all templates, HTML templates. Now, this is a view. Photo view is a view which would hold something similar to helpers and Rails, but these methods are only available in the photo when the photo views are being rendered. And finally, we have some test code here for the controller. We have a migration to create the photo,
table, and we have
table, and we have
a
uh, we have a model for the photo and a test for the photo, right? Now, I think I made a, I think I, well, no, yeah, everything looks good. Now let's open this up in, so I quickly want to check the migration, which would be present in private repo migrations. And if you see this, this is a very easy language to understand. So what it's doing is, when this migration runs, it's going to create a table called photos with 2 columns, right? File name and path. And it's by default, it's going to have an ID column, which is going to be the primary key. And we have a timestamps method call here, which adds 2 columns, an updated at and a created at. So now with that out of the way, let's actually create our database. So to get this working on my computer, I'll have to open the dev config and change the passwords here. So on my computer, the password and username for my PostgreSQL databases are these. And once I do that, I can go to my command line and run ecto create, mix ecto create. This would create the database, and this seems to be a problem. So one thing which we didn't do was we didn't set up routes. So the scaffolding code, the code generated by mix phoenix gen HTML doesn't edit the routes file. So we need to go to the router and add a route here called resources / photos. It's going to go to the photo controller. Okay, now this is going to create those 7 routes, the typical CRUD 7 routes. So once that's taken care of, let's go back and run mix ecto create. And now it has created our database. Let's run the migrations, and it's created the photos table. Now everything looks good. Now we can actually run the server and take a look at the user interface, right? So to run a Phoenix server, we need to run this command, mix Phoenix server, and as soon as we have that running, we can open up a browser, go to localhost 4000, and that would give us a nice welcome page. So we have everything up and running. Now we can go to /photos, because that's the page where we set up the routes, right? It's the /photos page. And now I can click on the new photo, and so this is nonsense, right? I mean, we're not going to enter a file name and path, so this interface isn't really a sensible interface. What we need here instead is we need the ability to upload a file. So let's go and change this view. So we're going to go to the photo new HTML view, right, the HTML template, and go to the form from here. And in the form, instead of a text input, we want a file input. And we're not, the name of the file is not going to be, the name of the input is not going to be file name. It's going to be, maybe file, right, or a photo. Well, actually, we have a photo model, so I'm going to call it file, right? So file, and now let's take a look at that. So I'm going to remove the label, and I'm going to strip the other stuff from here, and we'll refresh this, and says form for cannot use file input unless it is a multi-part form, right? So this is a very nice and useful error message. So if you have file inputs, if you don't have multi-part encoding on the form, then the file is not going to be uploaded. It's really not going to be uploaded, and you just get the file name. So Phoenix gives us a very helpful error, and once we fix this, that error should go away, right? Now if you see, the form has the encoding type is multi-part form data, because if you don't have that, you cannot have a file input file input element. If you have it, it wouldn't really upload the file, it would just send the file name, so which is useless. So anyway, now that we have that, let's select the file, go to pictures, select a logo and submit. It says something went wrong, please check the errors. So if we take a look at the logs tell us that it went to the photo controller create method, and from there for some reason it didn't go all the way. So let's take a look at that code. So we need to go to photo controller, okay, for some reason photo controller. Okay, so go to web controllers, the photo controller, go to the create action, and in the create action we have this, but what we need to do before this we need to actually persist the file. And another thing we need to we need to check out is how a file upload is treated in Phoenix. So if you go to the log, you'll see that the parameters are blah blah blah, and then the photo map has a file key with a value as a plug upload struct. So if you look at this, it's not a simple string, it's an instance of the plug upload struct, and that struct has a content type of image PNG, and that's the file name, and that's the path. So what Phoenix does is whenever you upload a file, if it gets a file in the input request, it saves the file in a temporary directory with whatever a unique name, and it gives you a handle to that as a plug upload struct. Now you can do whatever you want with this data. If you don't use it, it's gonna discard this file at the end of the request. So what we need to do is we need to save this file in a proper location before the request finishes, right? So the best place would, we could do it anywhere in the action, but let's do it at the top. So what we need to do is take the photo params file value and do something with it. So what we are going to do is we'll say photo dot persist and photo params, and what's the name of the input? The name is file, right? So we're going to persist the file, and this should give us, this should have all our logic. So let's go to that photo model, create a new method here called persist, which takes plug upload, and a plug upload gets a file name and a path and even the encoding type, right, or the content type, but we can ignore that for now. So I'm interested in the file name and the path. I'm going to extract those through our matcher there, and what we're going to do here is we're going to copy that file from the temporary location to a location in data, right? So what we'll do here is we'll say data directory is path.join the current directory, which is web models, right? And we're gonna go 2 levels up, and then go to the data photos directory, right? So we're going to go there, and that will be the directory where we store these files. So initially we can just use file.copy, right? File.copy. So the path for file.copy takes, what does it take? File.copy copies the contents in source to a destination. So what is the source we have? The source is the path, and the destination is path.join data directory and the file name. So we got that. So that should do it, right? I mean, that should copy the file name. And what we're going to do at the end of this is we're going to return a photo with a file name and a path, right? So that's what we're going to return. So this is going to give us a photo, and we can get rid of that and say photo, right? So if it is inserted properly, we'll do this. Otherwise, we're going to throw an error. So that looks good. Let's try it out. So I'm going to choose a file and hit submit, and there's an error. So the error is path undefined function path.join. So let's take a look at that. Well, so I'm going to look at Elixir path.join. So Elixir path.join expects 2 values, and it concatenates those, or it expects an array. So I think we gave it 3 values. So let's fix that. By sending it an array, and that should fix the problem. But now what do we have? Undefined cannot expand struct photo. So photo, okay, so let's use the full name here and do it again right now. Awesome. So now, okay, so there's a bit of problem here. So we have the proper file name, we don't have the proper path, because this, as we saw earlier, is a temporary path. So we messed up somewhere. So file.copy, this is the source path, this is the destination path. So I'm gonna put it in a variable. Destination path is this, and we're gonna use that to create the photo, right? So now we're gonna create a new photo. Go select an image, and now we have a nice path. Let's see if it actually renders the image. So yeah, it's not going to render the image, right? I mean, because this is not served over the public, this is not a public folder, but we can still take a look at it. I'm gonna so if I open it in my browser, since this is on my local computer, I see this file. Now we need a controller which allows us to show a photo using an ID. So what we need is, Phoenix controller send file. So let's take a look at that. So how do we send file in Phoenix? I'm not sure, I haven't done this before. So come on. Phoenix controller download, Phoenix download. So let me search here, send file. Send. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break and take a look at how we can allow users to download files. We'll take a look at that in the next session.